Hey folks, how we doing? My name is Mike Martioski and welcome to a very special edition of Semper 542. Do not adjust your television. Yes, I'm wearing an army hat. However, I have not joined the army. I'm still a Marine. The reason I'm wearing this hat is because recently I went up north and I was able to go to an awesome place known as Warriors at 45 North. What do these folks do? Well, it's awesome that you asked. I'm going to include a link, and you're going to see it scroll across the top of the screen up here, and it's going to tell you all about it. But instead of relying on everybody to be able to read and copy that link, I'm going to give you a brief idea. This camp exists because it's a place for warriors to go and rest. That's it. You go up there as a warrior, you spend time hunting, shooting, fishing, four wheeling, relaxing, and enjoying time with other warriors. The main idea behind it was this awesome fella, Doc, and Terry and Chief got this thing set up. Excuse me. Well, Chief started it. But the main idea behind it was when Chief was in the service, he realized that for him, healing was different than other people. And for him, it was one of those things where when he sat on his back deck and looked at the river, the world melted away. And then he would go and get in the rapids and fish. And that was how he healed. So he got some other guys involved. And over the course of 16 seasons, as you're going to see, they've had numerous people up there. I think he says it's over 300. So I did this over the course of, I did this interview with these guys. And originally I was gonna edit it and cut it as a straight interview setup. But I didn't like the way that came out. And when I was doing the editing process, one of the things that I noticed as I watched it back was how robotic it all seemed. But then when I just let it play, the subject matter, four guys just jaw jacking, talking and bonding really came across. So instead of editing it to make it look differently, I just kept the source material and I just changed camera angles. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. It looks like it's going to be a three-parter. Um, there was a small glitch. Excuse me, my nose is running. There was a small glitch, and it's because a couple of files got corrupted. I recovered them as best I could. Um, so enjoy a special three-part series on Warriors at 45 North. All right, so yesterday and today, we talked a little bit about how this awesome place came to be. Can you touch on a little bit more what it was that motivated you to start?
Well, just a uh, quick background. I did 18 years in the Navy, 6 active, 12 reserves. Had a motorcycle accident. They wouldn't let me re-enlist, so I ended up going in the National Guard several years later, and got an all-expense paid trip to Iraq. And I turned 50 over there, and got hit with a roadside bomb, and ended up getting medevaced out. And 20 surgeries later, still here, still causing hate and discontent to the best of my ability. That's what old Navy Chiefs do. And I would come up here to my cabin and sit on the back deck, look at the stream, and forget the world exists. And then get down and get butt deep in rapids with a fly rod in my hand and heal. So 16 years ago, I brought 3 other wounded veterans up to see if they got the same effect. I brought one at a time. And they must have got the same effect because the next year it was 9. The next year it was 20. No, next year was 9, and in the third year it was 20. So we started Warriors at 45 North. I ran into Doc over here and roped in into coming aboard. And the next year ran into Terry and roped him in and coming aboard. So what we do is we bring veterans up here free of charge, fishing, hunting, shooting, just being around each other, which is the best healing part of it, being out in the woods, quiet, and being together. So we've now hosted over 300 veterans. We just finished our 16th season, and we're pretty happy with it. It's going well.
So as a veteran, me personally, I've noticed that nobody understands a veteran the way that another veteran does.
It's true.
And even when you're married, you can be married for 65, 50 years, 70 years, 10 years, 5 years. Your spouse understands a little bit. In my case, my wife understands a considerable amount. And she even says nobody understands vets the way that vets do. And today, when we were all shooting over at Jay's house today, um, just the way we were able to talk to each other, the way in it's not the swearing, it's not the teasing, it's a handful of people who speak the same language, understand situations that we've all been in, and it doesn't have to be spoken about. We just get it.
That's one of the things that I fell in love with about this place up here was like has been said, civilians don't understand. They didn't go through what we went through, and they don't understand. And I say something to a civilian, and they look at me like I got a third eyeball. But I say it up here to amongst the vets, and everybody knows exactly what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's great. I don't have to explain myself.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with that.
Well, sometimes the way you explain it's too technical.
Yeah, I think
That will be a blur, not a beep.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, even though we all know that we have our own issues, I can talk with Chief about one thing, and then take that exact same conversation and talk with Doc, talk with Jay. I can talk with anybody who's been through the ringer the way we have, and it's received the same way, regardless of service branch, regardless of era. So if you were a Vietnam guy, or if you were a Korea guy, I met a Korea guy about 2 weeks ago, a Desert Storm guy. We can say the same type of stuff and understand what each person's dealing with. But I can say, hey, I had a perfect example. I can say, hey, I drew down on my wife last night because I had a nightmare. And a civilian would say, what the hell's wrong with you? But another vet would be like, no, I get it. And then, like we said,
You too?
Yeah, you too. Yeah, we had a whole conversation about that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the era. We instantly get it. Now we give each other a hard time. Navy, Army. In Jay's case, Air Force. I'm a jarhead. I'm a Marine. We
Uncle
give each
Sam's
other
misguided children.
Yeah, we give each other a hard time.
Yeah.
But it's a small circle, and we get each other.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that just being up here, just for the day that I've been here so far, I really dig about being here.
We give each other crap, from branch to branch. But
Branch and
push
branch.
comes.
We're in the same branch. And still give
Push-
each other crap.
Push comes to shove, and we're there for each other.
Absolutely. When I was out of the bunkhouse earlier, I looked at the door, and you've got the what do you call them, logos, symbols of
Yeah.
the branches on the door there.
Yep.
And I was looking earlier at the handprints that you've got up here, and the names and all of that. And I looked at the signs and the photos and the pictures that you've got all over the place. And one thing that people don't seem to understand, it's not just combat veterans who are dealing with emotional, mental, and physical healing.
Nobody gets out unscathed.
You have guys and girls, like you mentioned that you have the women's trip as well.
Yep.
So I'm going to generalize and just say guys, because when I say that, I mean everybody that served. It's just easier. You got folks that, you know, you were telling me earlier about your injury when you were in the tank, you know, and that wasn't, you know, and I don't mean this in any negative way. That wasn't combat related at all. You guys were doing some training stuff.
Yep.
I've met people who have had issues that arose from just life in the barracks because of things that they saw and had to deal with. I'm not going to get into detail with it, but there are things that happen that can be just as traumatizing as, you know, as being shot at, or as being blown up, or as, you know, being in a, you know, in a tank that goes from forward to reverse, and then there's other stuff that people don't understand. Sometimes, and this is more geared towards the women, but it happens with the men too periodically. You end up dealing with things that your psyche, your personality just isn't prepared for. Whether you're in a firefight, whether you're back in the rear and you're seeing behavior that, I mean, let's face it, you see some stuff that some folks are like, what the hell is wrong with you? And we laugh at it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we see some funny stuff. But then when you really think about it, when that stuff piles up and you don't get a chance to express that, talk about that, deal with that, you throw all of that on top of everything else, it's hard to find somebody's breaking point until they tell you that they're breaking.
Yeah.
Now, do you
I don't know about Chief Terry, but I was in at a time frame where, and this is a lot of stuff of what we had to deal with up here when we first started, was we were in an era of suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
Meaning, don't talk about it, just deal with it. And now it's like they want people. I mean, as I've told you, my nephew's in the Marine Corps, and they specifically, if there's problems that they want to talk about, they have people they can go talk to. Where for us, it was just suck it up and deal with it. Move on smartly. And that's the barrier we had to break through here at the camp. Because, like, the way I came here and with the chief, I looked at it as we were focusing on the 22 a day. And everybody that we were dealing with was, I don't want to talk about it. And they were afraid to come up here because they were afraid we were going to make them talk about it. And when we said, okay, bring a friend. Don't care if he's a veteran or not, bring a friend. If you feel comfortable with them, bring them with you. They get everything free too. And that started breaking through the barrier. Because once they were out back here and they realized we weren't the bad people that they thought we might have been, or we weren't trying to pry into their brains to find out what the problem was. We just wanted them to come up and relax and be around like-minded, as we say at our shows, like-minded idiots.
Yeah,
I love that term.
Yeah.
I'm used to using like-minded individuals, but like-minded idiots I think fits much better. I think I might steal that.
Go right ahead. I mean, there was one time, and we had a guy come up here, Mike.
Yeah.
I tell this story everywhere. Mike had me pinned before the refrigerator was that big. He had me pinned over there, and he came. Well, let me go back to the beginning. He came up first day. All we got out of him is, "Hi, my name's Mike." For 3 days, we didn't get anything else out of him. Third day, I was like, "Mike, what's your problem? Everybody's out there coking and smoking, telling jokes, having fun." I said, "What's the problem?" He pinned me up against the wall. And this was a Marine. Watched his best friend die in his arms in Iraq, right? Or
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. what was the term? You don't understand.
You don't understand. And I went back at him, and I had him by the scruff of his collar. And Chief came in behind me, and he says, I think we need to go to the quarterdeck and have a talk. My head dropped, because anybody who's been around the Navy knows when the chief or the person in charge comes up to you and says, I think we need to go to the quarterdeck, you just screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
You're either going up to get your ass chewed or
Yep.
We
a
were
little
invited or
discussion.
summoned.
No,
That's
or
right.
invited or summoned. And I was basically, I thought I was being summoned. And he says, I think we need to go up and talk to Mike. I'm like, I don't think I need to go up there right now. But he's like, nope, we need to go up and talk, and he needs to know where we're coming from. So I told him a lot about what I did with the Marine Corps, what I did during Desert Storm. And then Chief told him what happened to him. And the next day, Mike was a totally different person. Mike wasn't, when everybody's out there, Mike wasn't in here. Mike was out there telling the jokes and enjoying.
Yeah, he said when I got up there, when we got up there, you know, when the you don't understand and stuff like that, we didn't exactly say, you know, yeah, we do. We just said this is what we went through, and he, I think the comment was, well, maybe you do understand. Yeah, well, maybe we do. And what if we hadn't kind of kicked his ass a little bit? You know, sometimes a good swift kick in the ass is just as good as a hug.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that worked.
Terry, you must have met some interesting individuals like that.
Well, I was going to say, one of my favorite things and stories, and it, to me, it's the magic of this place. We were all sitting out back here one morning. It was in the summertime. We're drinking coffee, flipping each other a bunch of crap, and, you know, like vets do. And one of the guys that lives up here comes out and got himself a cup of coffee, and he come out and he sat down and he says, I had a really rough night last night. And somebody said, what, nightmares? Yeah. And that's all that was said about it. We went right back to flipping each other shit, joking and going back, you know, and an hour and a half later he left with a smile on his face. Nobody said a word about psychoanalyzing about what the dream was about and all that. We just went right back to doing what we do. And, you know, it works. And I think that's one of the beauties of this place.
I would agree. You know, I wasn't gonna say it, but last night, Terry and I, we shared a room, probably the best roommate I've ever had. I went up there last night. He was out, and I was trying to be as quiet as I could and not make noise. And I'm worried that every little noise I make, he's gonna wake up, and then I went to sleep. And then this morning I woke up and he's down here, and I asked him if I kept him awake at all. He's like, nope. And I was like, great. I knew that, you know, I was having weird dreams all night long, not necessarily nightmares, but just them weird dreams. And I know I talk in my sleep, and I talk loudly. And my wife is always like, well, you know, you woke me up and all that. I tell you what, Terry, you can be my roommate any day. Because if you can handle my weirdness, we're gonna get along just fine.
If you've been around some of the snorers we've had up here,
Yep.
Mike Bain.
Well, the reason I bring that up is I know that there's a lot of guys and girls out there that when they go to sleep at night, it's a different world for some of them. Sometimes that's when, to use a phrase, that's when the demons come, is when they're going to sleep.
We've all been there.
And to have
some of us more than others, but we all have our demons.
To have a roommate, whether it's for an hour, a day, or a week, or a month, or like some of us have experienced a year or so when we were in the military, to have a roommate that gets that and is not gonna lose their mind or flip their shit every single time, that's something special.
Mhm.
And to have a complete stranger that is unknown to you, that understands that, I don't know how he felt, but when I went to sleep last night, I was probably the most comfortable I've been outside of sleeping in the same bed with my wife. Understanding that here are some people that have some, maybe not at the same time, but have some shared understanding or some shared experiences, you know, totally comfortable. I on our way up here, my wife and I were concerned, and that one of the first things I asked you last night was, what are the rules about guns in the house? You know, locked, loaded, unloaded, all that. And my wife and I had our concerns because at the house where I'm, you know, I sleep with a gun next to the bed, and she has the ammo next to her. Because there have been times where I've woken up and grabbed it, and our concern was, you know, an accident. And I didn't feel that way last night when I went to sleep. I didn't feel like I was gonna have to worry about that at all. I still took the ammo out. I put the gun and the ammo in two separate places so that if, but I didn't feel that way. I went to sleep last night feeling secure. You could have had both of those doors wide open, and I would have still felt that way. And
Well, I had a gun. I had to shot back. So
yeah, that would have been, you know, that would have been a hell of a story. Could you imagine my wife rolling up? What happened? We're both bleeding, you know, and neither one of us hit a vital organ because, you know, let's face it, you're an old guy and I was asleep. So
hey. There was a time.
He don't get mad. He gets one better.
There you go.
There was a time. It's been probably a couple years ago now. Chief had taken a coat with a hood and hung it on a nail upstairs.
I remember this story.
and hung a shirt up on the same thing. And I woke up kind of out of a dead sleep. I woke up and I looked, and there was a person standing there.
Oh my God.
Who are you? What? Who is it?
Wakes me up. Says, who the hell is he talking to?
And I'm reaching for my pistol. And the other guy that was sleeping in the bed, you're sleeping in. He goes, it's a coat and a shirt. Oh, okay. But it scared the living shit out of me.
I can imagine it would.
Last year I was up here with Mike, and I had one of the worst nightmares of my life. And he didn't know what to do. He was pretty sure he should wake me up, but he knew he had to do it at a distance. But that's one of the things that, I mean, he finally did wake me up, but it took him a while. That's one of the things what he does, my dog. The night I got that dog, I had a pretty nasty nightmare, and I woke up with him laid across my chest. And that was an untrained service dog that I got out of a shelter.
It was a kill shelter you got it from, right?
Yep.
That's a
And
good boy.
he has helped me tremendously, because I had a Cocker Spaniel for years, and Charlie was his name, and we got his pictures around here. He was a great camp dog, and I didn't realize how much he did for me until after I lost him. And I went a couple of years with my wife's dog, but he's like a great little comfort dog, but he's not a service dog. And my wife mentioned it to me about getting a service dog. And I told Doc I was thinking of getting a service dog, and his answer was about damn time. And
Everybody that talked to him when he told us that he was getting one, I think we all had the same answer. About freaking
Yep.
time.
Yep. And since I've had him, I've slept better. You know, I always sleep good up here, but not that night. But if I'd had him that night, it would have been done right after it started. Right.
Mike's just not a good dog.
No.
Too damn big. He'd lay across my chest. He'd kill me.
How many people you think have come up here and have spent at least a night here?
Over
Healing.
300.
Over
Well,
300.
I know for a fact that last summer we had two that I know of that were heading down that dark road in 22 day. And one of them, it was on our female trip. She came up and she actually took the chief aside before she left. She said, or no, it was like when you
Told
come
me
out
when
of the
she
boat,
was leaving, she
said, when I came up here, I was suicidal. And first thing he said is, "How about now?" Nope, not now. I'm good. So, and I mean, there's another woman that I won't use her name, but she is very much a part of our organization. And when she first came up here, we would walk in here and she would walk out the back door. She didn't want to be around any man.
the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees.
Yep. And she's been coming here since pretty much we started the women's trip.
6, 7 years or something,
Yeah.
7 or 8 years.
And 2 years ago, I came up because, as I said earlier, I'm a tornado in the trailer park.
Mhm.
I come up, I stir crap up, and I leave. And she was already here when I was opening up for them. And we went a good 3 days, and then I took them out on the ATVs, and we stopped, and we were talking, and I'm like, I looked at her, I said, I was kind of pissed off at you when you first got here. She goes, why? I said, because you usually come running out of your vehicle now and give us a hug. And I said, something didn't seem right, so I didn't push it.